All right, hello and everybody, and welcome. Happy Thursday, April the 3rd. You are here for how to save 10 hours a week at work with AI. My name is Albert. I'm the founder of Albert's List, and I will be your co-host today. And with me is Eric Forst. He is a Web3 and AI instructor here in San Francisco. And for all of those who are here today, you all know the growing importance of artificial intelligence in our world. As you know, many people who are in this industry and also pushing for AI see very transformative potential for AI, especially as it comes to changing how we do work and also live our everyday lives. In the case that you may be working right now, you may also be wondering how you can use AI to be much more efficient. Because after all, you may not lose your job to AI, but somebody rather who knows how to use AI really well. And so that's the basis of our conversation today. We want to talk about how you can use AI to its fullest potential to create, develop, and be more efficient at work so you can spend time doing all the other things that you want to do in your life. So without further ado, Eric, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Albert. It's a real pleasure to be with all of you today. My name is Eric Forst, and I am the co-founder of a few startups, Bloxy and Pangea Social, that you can see there on the bottom of your screen, as well as a DAO called the Workforce Development DAO that's part of We Heart SF. And that's how I met Albert, because we both kind of work in this economic development, workforce development, job expertise space. And in fact, we just ran a career conference together last week at the House of Web3 called the Career Transition Conference. But the theme of today's talk is how to save 10 hours a week at work with AI. I've been very lucky to have been working in AI for about 18 years. I started in 2007 with a company called Visible Technologies, which was one of the first social media sentiment analysis companies doing positive, negative, neutral sentiment. And now I've been using AI almost every day for my startups, for workflows ranging from marketing to sales operations to project planning to curriculum development. Um, I've just been truly inspired by the generative AI revolution and how it's freed me up from having to do a lot of mundane work. It's made me much more efficient in that I feel like I can do the work of five or six people. And a lot of what's empowered that is the ability to create something called custom GPTs. And I'm going to introduce all of you to these today if you haven't already seen them. If you have seen them, I'm going to give you a preview on how you can start thinking about building your own custom GPTs. So let's move into it. Let's get going. Please feel free to post questions, make comments in the chat as we go along, and we'll be taking some pauses along the way. And in fact, on this slide, we have another poll, Albert, if you want to launch it. If we haven't finished the other one, the one about the biggest challenge at work. And I want to do this poll a little differently, Albert. Like, it seems like 75% of people say, yeah, I want to save time. But if you're picking time today, I want you to pick other instead and explain how do you want to save time? Like, what is your most time-consuming task? So try to be really specific on this next quick poll.
I do have time management on this
I
one.
know we have time management, and I want to challenge people if you're inclined to check that, give me other instead, and then put something and then put in the chat. Or if you do pick time management, let's do it this way. That's fine. Pick time management, but put in the chat what that biggest challenge is. Let's see it in the chat. That'll work. And if you pick other, put it in the chat as well. Let's, tell us what you struggle with, where you have a suspicion maybe you could be doing it more efficiently with AI. All right, organization and task management. Finding a job, writer's block. Albert, I hear you have a good GPT that helps people find jobs. My friend Wayne was raving about your job coach GPT. Um,
Yeah, it's really amazing what ChatGPT can, in my mind. It takes a 2 to 3 week job search prep task, and now it does it in 10 to 15 minutes, which is wild.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I truly do feel like I can get the work of like, five people done some days. Um, Especially with custom GPTs. And I feel like I'm able to do quality work too, even better work in some cases. All right, finding a job, conflicting priorities. Wow, Albert. Template creation, time management, tracking time for auto task. Biggest challenge in my role is that it is driven by someone else work being complete first, so it impacts my workflows. I don't think we have an AI for that yet, Albert, do we? But let's see. The how can I eliminate tiers of review and process in a company? That's an interesting one. How AI can help me launch a digital agency, where to start, especially in this economy? That's a great question. So we'll try to keep some of these in mind as we go through these demos. Lots of business plans, finding jobs, getting to everything at once. So we'll be able to work on some of this stuff, you guys. So let's get back to the slides. So welcome and introduction. As I mentioned, I've been working in AI for a long time, extensively with generative AI. There is an AI transformation going on in the world. It is not just like even as transformative as the internet was, I believe this is even bigger than that, much bigger than that. This is, I believe that AI in its current form and what is coming over the next few years will be as transformative to the human race as the development of fire was, which was even more fundamental than electricity or the internet for sure. So prompt mastery is a really important part of being able to create custom GPTs. So two and three go together on this slide. So one of the main things we're going to look at today is what are the basics of just understanding how prompts work and how you can use different types of prompts for different types of problems that you're trying to solve. And we'll give you a formula to write great prompts every time, and give you a preview to custom GPTs, how to use them, how to build them, and why they're so powerful. So we have a whole bunch of answers, time management and other lots of content creators and email manager requesters in the poll quiz. Thank you for taking the poll, guys. So what is AI? I love this definition. AI works based on inference, not expertise or experience, because we hear a lot of doom and gloom about AI taking all of our jobs, but really all it is doing is just inferring based on its training set the words that it thinks will sound good to you next in the answer to the question you ask it in the chat window. So it doesn't have expertise, it doesn't have experience, it doesn't know the world the way a human does, who can walk down the street and have sensory experiences, put things in context, understand what the way things make people really feel. All of you have those things, whether you're an expert at being a recruiter or an expert at being a computer scientist or an expert at being a librarian. Everyone has something they studied or something they're good at. Even just an expert at relating to people and the right questions to ask to just help someone discover new ideas. You can use all of the things you're good at and combine your expertise and experience with the power of the large language model of the generative AI to make something unique that serves you and solves business problems for you and potentially could become the basis for a business or just make your own business, your own job work so much better than you ever thought it could. So that is what AI is to me, is it's a tool that should serve you and make your life better. So why AI now? It's transforming our lives. There are problems with bias in AI and the way it's trained. And in all of the exercises we're going to look at with training GPTs and creating custom ones, think about the quality of the data you're giving it because it's garbage in, garbage out with AI, and not all AIs work the same. It's good to test the different AIs that are, there's a lot of free ones and see which ones you like better for you. And then on average, you could save 10 hours a week if you learn how to write better prompts and create custom GPT workflows like I'm going to show you today. So let's start with something really basic. There are a couple of different ways you can write prompts. And one is what's called a zero-shot prompt, where you really write the shortest imaginable prompt, like write me a product description for a coffee mug, if you want, if that's what the job is you want to use the AI for. As opposed to a few shot prompt where you maybe give it some examples of other job descriptions that you think will help frame it, give it the right length, the right style. So you give it other product descriptions. Um, that would be now what we're calling a few shot prompt. You're giving some context to the task of write a product description for coffee mug. So let's look at this. Let's do an exercise with this right now. So If any of you have the free version of ChatGPT, or if you prefer to use Claude Sonnet, or if you like Google Gemini, just whatever AI you like to use or you're currently using these days, just start by just typing write a product description for coffee mug. And then I'm going to put in the chat this longer one. So you can just copy and paste this out of the chat. And I'm putting it in there right now. And then, after you run the first one, now run it again with this longer one. And then in the chat of the Zoom, tell us what you notice about the difference between the two. So we'll take another minute or two and let you guys do the back and forth here. And then start telling us what you see in the chat. Second version, much shorter, more succinct. Very good. More targeted. Yeah. Yeah, because it's following the format of the example product descriptions that we fed into it in that longer prompt. Now, one thing to keep in mind is one thing that can be really great about that short prompt, as you guys are noticing, is going to make up stuff. It's going to invent stuff. In AI, we call this a hallucination. It will sound very confident. I'm sure it gave you a product description that just sounds amazing. And it might just have nothing to do with what your coffee mug actually is, because maybe it didn't even bother to ask you for any details, which is what it should do. Um, but it doesn't necessarily do that, especially the free versions of these tools. If you use in ChatGPT, let me guys show you this, just for those of you who have the Plus subscription. And even in the free version, there's different models here in this drop-down menu. What I've noticed is when you use 4.5 and O1 or O3, any of these more advanced reasoning modules, sometimes, actually, it should be interesting to try it maybe with O3, O1, see if it does it. When you give it a prompt like that, that's a zero shot, it will follow up and ask for some more feedback before it goes on. It will not just go ahead and hallucinate and make stuff up. So that's a really powerful thing on some of these advanced modules. Um, So the point answers, and so everyone's just noticing shorter stuff. Okay, great. So let's go along. Let's move forward with the four-part formula for effective AI prompts. So what we were looking at before in the last example on the product description was basically the zero shot prompt was just number two, was a task. And then the few shot prompt was 2 plus 3. We were giving it some context, like other posts that we want to base it on. Plus, we were also giving it some format. They all got shorter because of that context that we gave it, which was also teaching it how to structure it. But you can be very explicit in the format, like the number of words that you want, the tone that you want. If you haven't already learned this trick, it's often very helpful to say in the style of some other writer or blogger or speaker who you like. One that gives a very even balanced blog post is in the style of Walter Cronkite, who used to read the news on CBS in the 667 1970s, back when news was super balanced, and he was a very even-handed commentator. So experiment within the style of for whatever you're writing. And the role is super important. Who's the AI acting as, for example? Is it a marketing expert or a sales operations person or a project planner or a recruiter? Because if you think about GPT, what the T and that stands for, generative pre-trained transformer, the transformer is a model that was invented by Google in 2017, and it allowed the large language model, which had been around since the 1960s, to work much more efficiently so that the existing super powerful NVIDIA chips, as powerful as they were, couldn't create good generative AI until transformers came along because it allowed the processing power to work much more efficiently. So instead of analyzing the whole matrix of all the words and weightings, it could look at something called attention heads or attention nodes and just scan a much less amount of all the data. And so when you give it a role on this four-part formula, you're focusing in that, its analysis engine even more, saying, yeah, just look at just this one part of the data set. This is what you're an expert in. So you don't need to always give it a role, but if you're writing a prompt for business or something that you're going to save into a custom GPT, it can be a very important part of the prompt. Please put any questions or tasks, comments. I see someone saying we all hallucinate sometimes, especially after a few drinks. Yeah. Yep. And AI will do it all the time. So that's why you always need to be what's called the human in the loop and check what the AI is doing and make sure it's not just making stuff up. So, let's do another exercise. So this is the live prompt improvement exercise. Um, Actually, let's have it be 300 words long. Last time I did this, 100 was kind of short. So I'm going to paste this one into the chat. And this is really just a template. Like what I would like you all to do for this exercise is apply the role task context format, but think about an email you're writing for your work or your job. It doesn't have to be marketing, could be sales, could be operations, could be something you're writing to your family, to a lawyer, anything. And that they do an example of just like a real basic prompt, or just jump right into a more, doing this four-part prompt for whatever problem you're trying to solve. Or if you can't think of anything, just copy and paste this one out of the chat. Again, it's just going to make stuff up because you're not really saying what the webinar is about. I mean, well, yeah, you're saying on AI productivity. So yeah, it'll make something up coherent with that. No, it's not necessary to use the quotes. Okay, not at all. Um, ChatGPT Claude DeepSeek behaviors respond with the shorter prompt with bullet points rather than a paragraph. I'm glad you brought that up, Isaac, because one of the best practices that I encourage all of you to do is whenever you're building prompts, experiment with the different models with, ChatGPT versus Claude, DeepSeek. They're going to give you different styles, different formats, and you might find that you just like one better, or in your subject area, it is better or less biased or more biased in a way that you like. Um, you're going to notice differences, so it's good to experiment with them. Okay, no other comments or questions in the chat. Let's move on. So custom GPTs. What I want to introduce everyone today, if you haven't already seen it, are custom GPTs. It amazes me how many people have the Plus subscription, the $20 a month subscription to ChatGPT right here, because you want the latest model, which is a great reason alone to pay the 20 bucks. I've just been blown away using 4.5 for the last couple of weeks. They cap how much you can use it compared to the $200 a month, but so far I haven't hit the cap. It's truly amazing just by adding deep internet level research to any task you give a prompt now. And in some assessments of this model, it's said to be able to write a PhD level thesis in just like about an hour. It's really amazing what it will bring back and how deep it will go in terms of researching the internet and then referencing all of its work. Advanced reasoning, like I was talking about, is really cool because it will be less likely to hallucinate. Like it will stop and ask you for more inputs, and so will 4.5 before it proceeds with the initial prompt that you give it. Not all the time, but sometimes. Um, but what I wanted to point out was this Explore GPTs. It's over here on the left-hand nav. Even if you're using the free version, I'm just moving it up my left scroll here. It should just say Explore GPTs. And when you click on that, it opens basically like the app store of ChatGPT, where you've got thousands of GPTs built on by other people on almost any topic. For example, I was teaching an AI class last fall, and my TA was applying for a PhD. And so there's a PhD application helper, PhD application guide, PhD application, like tons of them. So on almost any topic you can think of, you're going to find someone who spent some time and put some thought into building a custom GPT around that topic. So I want to make you all aware of that, these exist, and that they can save you a lot of time. In many cases, they work better than just putting a prompt into just a new generic chat. I find that all of these by ChatGPT work really well. This data analyst one is particularly useful if anyone's working with numbers and spreadsheets and wants to analyze data. I'll just give you a quick demo on this. This is one where you can just drop in a spreadsheet. This is a PDF file that's like 20 pages of just numbers that are, performance metrics on an advertising campaign. And so I can just say, please analyze this. And it's going to do a better job than if I just did it in the generic GPT. This is a specially configured GPT that is extracting the key highlights from the spreadsheet, finding the themes in it. After all, these are language models. They're not that great at math. So it's especially useful to use a custom GPT for stuff like this. And then so yeah, so explore GPTs. I just want to make sure people are aware of it. And then I also want to show you kind of a trick or a hack that in any of these GPTs in the store that you like, that you think are interesting, maybe you want to customize it even further, like maybe this mocktail mixologist GPT. Actually, do they? Yeah, please share the instructions used in your configuration of this custom GPT. And so you can kind of see how it was set up. This is a bartender specializing in mocktails. See, there's the purpose or the role right there. Um, here's the tasks, how it executes it, and not a whole lot on format, but definitely on style. So it kind of has the format implied. So this is a great way to just find stuff, and then you could maybe customize this with a bunch of recipes that you like, and then it's like learning how to make mocktails that are uh, stuff that are in your style. So we go into that into our 3-hour workshop that we're doing on the 17th, and we'll talk more about that at the end. But just kind of drilling in, into this idea of custom GPTs and all these different ways you can use them. The main ways I've been using them have been for marketing, sales, administrative tasks, support stuff. I'll show you a preview of one that I built for one of my startups. It's a custom blogger GPT. And what somebody's asking, I'm looking over the chat, what's the highest level of math? That's a good question. You should ask it. Ask ChatGPT what's its highest level of math. It'll probably give you an accurate answer. Tell me why A is so bad as a speller. It's a bad speller in the images. Yes, it's terrible speller when it comes to images, and that is because, yeah, I don't know why it can't spell great in the images, but it's true, it doesn't. Um, how can we trust GPT is legit and just not find what is called in description? Um, don't know. Do other models have a Explore GPT store? I'm not aware of it. I haven't seen that in Claude or the others, but they may. But getting back here to the lesson on custom GPTs and just giving you guys some examples of different workflows that help you save 10 hours a week at work. Grace Point Solutions is a startup I've been working on where it's software to help manage charitable donations into warehouses that distribute the charity goods to mostly people who are parishioners from communities of faith, communities in need, come to these warehouses for charitable distributions. So the software helps validate that the donation was prove that it was delivered, and it helps put valuations and helps the people running the warehouses manage all the donations. So this is a way to write blog posts for that startup. It's configured with um, a document about the brand, the brand style, the brand guide. It has a brand voice document in it. There's an ideal customer profile document trained into it. And so when you use the custom GPT, it prompts you and it asks you for information about what you want to do, and it guides the user through a workflow. This is what we'll teach in the workshop on April 17th, using something called a chain of thought prompt, which we teach in that webinar. You'll learn how to create a GPT like this that prompts you and brings you through an interactive process where it asks you for specific inputs and then gives you, like, a first draft of a blog post. So I'll show you how that works. I just did a session um, with it earlier today, and here it is down here, charity post creation process. So well, here's the generic one. I wanted to start with this one. Here it is. So this is one where I used my custom GPT, and so it said, here's the process we're going to go through. And it said, all right, let's roll, let's build something powerful. So, it said, here's the 5 things it needs from me. Main goal of the post, or retargeting, what platform, anything specific you want to mention, just a one-off or a series. So I just answered those 5 questions. And now it's saying, great, here's, a preliminary overview of what I think you want. Here's 3 different headline options. Here's a suggested structure we're going to use. I go, great, let's use the second headline. Structure looks good. And now it's giving me my first draft. I'm looking at that draft and I think it's great. And so, how many of you have used AI Detector by Quillbot? Just raise your hand or give thumbs up in the chat if you've used it. I'm curious how many people have used this tool. I just kind of learned about it. Monica says yes. Apparently, like in SEO, that everyone uses this. It's a great way to make sure that your writing is more natural sounding. So I want to show you this post that my custom GPT built, and I'm dropping it in the Quillbot detector. And this is, it's coming out 42. And I did earlier, it was only 24. So I guess I have a little work to do on it. And then when I go into one where I'm using the generic GPT without the custom GPT that I built, where is it? It's right here. Yeah, this one. I know it. You know what? I think the difference was that I caught, let's see. Anyway, copy. Remember if I copied it with the clipboard or that. Let me put this one in Quillbot and do it again. AI detector. A new one. And do a new. Refresh. Paste text. This one was 89. It was a lot worse when I did it without the custom GPT. So I also have one that I made earlier today on the tariffs. And this is one where when I ran it earlier, it got a 0 on the AI detector. And this is a custom GPT that I built for my own political blogger. So let's see what happens on this one. Paste text. And this one's giving me a 0. And this one was 100% written by a custom GPT that I made using the process that I teach in my webinar. So you'll get much more natural sounding blog posts when you build these custom GPTs. For sales, there's something really powerful. I want to show you guys a sales enablement GPT. And with this one, I'm taking a transcript of a sales call. So if you're a salesperson on this webinar, you probably are getting recordings of your sales calls. And it's amazing, the Firefly summaries, the Otter summaries that we got. You can also just save the money and not pay for one of those and just get the raw transcript out of any call and just say analyze it, for follow up. And this is I want meeting follow up. And oh yeah, now let me attach it again. Analyze. Yep. Emails, follow up. And so now it's just taking that transcript and it's giving me a suggested email that I can just immediately uh, just, of course, edit, read it, but it's like 90% good. You can have it give your CRM notes, your presentation summary for a potential follow-up deck, all from this, just this one sales transcript. Auto summarize emails. You can start building support AI chatbots. One of the students in my class last fall has a startup that makes an exercise equipment that he invented where it's dowel rods that go in a door jamb. And I don't think I have his custom GPT here, but basically he just was able to upload all the technical documentation for his product, user manuals that he'd written, and then his custom GPT now forms what he can put into basically a customer support chatbot on his website, answers any question someone has about how to set it up, how to use it. It actually recommends amazing exercise routines that you can do on his equipment that he hadn't even thought of. So Elisa's asking, is there one for social services? There actually is. One of the students in my class last fall built a housing helper GPT. Anne-Marie works the street outreach DAO that's part of our DAO community at the House of Web3 called We Heart SF. I run the workforce development DAO. And she built a custom GPT that has all of the affordable housing options in the city. There are these spreadsheets that are hard to find on a bunch of different housing offices' websites. She's an expert at this, so she created a GPT that helps people with case management and with social services. So yeah, just search in the GPT store for any topic, you might find them. Um, okay, let's see. All right. Let's move on. So as Albert said at the beginning, AI will not replace you, but someone who knows how to use AI for your job might. And so what I hope I'm helping all of you see today, that there are ways to use custom GPTs in really thoughtful, precise ways tuned to your job workflows that are imbued with your experience. Those custom GPTs that I show you have uploads of files attached to them, have very detailed sets of custom instructions created for them that if you take the April 17th webinar, we'll teach you how to do it. Albert, you're going to put, I believe, a coupon code in the chat, right? That gives people a discount. If you sign up using the coupon code or the link in the chat, you can sign up for $67 instead of the 99, where we'll teach you how to build a custom GPT for 3 hours. The last hour will just be hands-on. Um, you know, anyone who wants to share what they're working on, you can leave this workshop with a fully functioning custom GPT, and I'll walk you through the best strategies on how to do it and set it up. And a lot of what we just showed in this webinar today, these different prompting techniques, will be useful and helpful in this workshop. Um, Albert, did I leave anything out? Anything that we should go over? Any questions I missed in the chat?
Sure. Let's see. I think a lot of people were wanted to compare ChatGPT to the other offerings like Claude
Mhm.
and Gemini. Can you speak to some of the similarities and differences?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
wanted to put
So
them together.
a lot of people feel that Claude Sonnet is by Anthropic is a better writer, just stylistically. And then DeepSeek came along and they feel that it's even has a more natural sounding way that it speaks, I guess, more for social media posts and things like that. Whereas Anthropic, Claude Sonnet might be better for more academic or opinion articles. ChatGPT is just, I think, has the most features and the most functionality. It is the easiest to build custom GPTs for someone who doesn't know how to code and just knows how to ask good questions. Um, so I love teaching custom GPTs for that reason, and they're building out a lot of features around it that will make it really useful to be an AI agent. And they're already starting to release AI agent features in the $200 a month subscription. And so I think ChatGPT is just the most robust platform, but certainly experiment with all of the other tools. There are many excellent advantages and ways to use them and use different ones for different workflows. Security of data, yeah. So I'll show you some settings. The If you go to settings here, um, under personalization, I like to leave this memory on, and it's learning from me over time, and it gets better. Some people are worried that that stuff's leaking out. I don't have 100% confidence that it's not, but I know I get a much better user experience. So that's one of the options. Um, And then under these data controls where it says improve the model for everyone, I have this turned off. And if you have it on, then yeah, it's definitely going to take everything you give it and it's going to train on it and use it in the underlying model and potentially expose it to anyone else. But with this stuff turned off, I feel like it's a good bet you're safer. But as we've seen in the past from companies like Google, they said they weren't doing stuff with your stuff, and then it turned out they were doing stuff with your stuff. So you use at your own risk, I would say, for any of these platforms. Now, there is an upgrade on the Plus subscription um, where you can add this thing called Teams. Here's view plans. So the Teams plan also, ChatGPT claims, and I imagine they would get sued for a lot of money if this wasn't true, puts a firewall around all of your data for your business. And so this is a way for all of the workers in a team at a startup, at a company to collaborate together and use ChatGPT, go into the same chat together, kind of like you do a Google Doc and work that way collaboratively in these thing called canvases. I think people in Plus can do that as well. So this is a way to also get privacy. Do you recommend us setting up LLM locally, download model from the Hugging Face? Well, sure. Yeah, that's always going to be like the most secure to run on-prem. There's an AI called Prem AI, and they facilitate exactly that, choosing from all the different types of open source models, choosing ones that can run on your phone, on your laptop, on local devices, and then fine-tuning those. Yeah, you do that on a device that's not connected to the internet, you're going to be the most secure possible. Good question, Spencer. I try as much as I can to anonymize the sensitive parts of any document. Good. Yeah, just use your own risk, but if you've anonymized and blacked out that stuff, then you're probably in much better shape. How is an agent different from ChatGPT? Good question. So ChatGPT as it exists today is what we would call a chat bot. It's just a chat interface that you talk with. An agent is where you take something like one of these custom GPTs, like the sales enablement GPT, and then you automate it. So like it could automatically like take your video transcript, uh, generate the emails, send the emails out, make the summary of the call to go into the CRM, put it into the CRM, and just do all of those automated workflows for you. But it really is an agent when you're giving it the ability to make decisions at points in those workflows where if certain conditions are met, then I want you to send the email. But if they're not, then don't send the email. That's where it really becomes like an agentic workflow. Um, what are the image generating capabilities of generative AI tools? Create customized vision boards, etc. They're all different. So you just have to experiment with, Sora versus Midjourney versus Dolly, and there are dozens and dozens of other ones, Stable Diffusion. Um, One that I like the best lately for making presentations is called Gamma. If you go to gamma.app, this one is amazing for creating PowerPoints or one sheets or even designs for websites. And what I love about it is you have like five different image generation engines. So when you're in it, and it will automatically create images just based on the initial prompts. When I hit edit image, I can change the prompt, but I can also pick from like all these different image generation models. And so sometimes I'll just use this just to create images because I've got so many different models, and every model will give me a kind of a different look or feel. Nope. Do I know how to know programming to use an agent? Currently, you kind of do. Most of the agent frameworks that are out there require you to know a little Python, um, but not all of them. So if you go to agent.ai, this is one that you can mess around with it for free, and they have all these agents that are kind of pre-built. So this is where you can just kind of take these agents. So this is like an agent marketplace, kind of like what I was showing you for ChatGPTs, but for agents. And there's also a software called Replit. I just typed it in the chat, and Replit is a way that anyone can write code who doesn't know how to code. So it will just make code for you um, just by telling it what you want to build. I've messed around with it a little bit, and what I've found is that for really complex apps that you're trying to build, you definitely want somebody who knows how to code to look at what Replit makes to see if it's any good. Oh, Prem, yeah, it was Prem. I think it's prem.ai. For the one that does on-premise AI. Prem.ai. I don't know if that's it. Um, yeah, it's this one, premai.io. Secure personalized AI models built for you. This is where you can pick from a whole library of open source models and run them locally. Um, Put the correct URL in the chat. premai.io. Maybe I should delete the other one. I can't. Do we need paid ChatGPT for your 3-hour class? I highly recommend it. Um, if you don't, then what you will still be able to do is something called a custom prompt. So wait, wrong place. Setting. I think in settings. Yeah, settings. Yes, personalization, custom instructions. So you can kind of use this thing called custom instructions, similar to what you can do with custom GPTs, but it's kind of like you can only build one using this versus with the plus subscription, you can build multiple custom GPTs. So this is one where if I turn this on and I enable it for new chats, you can see I've given it these instructions here where I basically had made something that works kind of like a CRO, a Chief Revenue Officer GPT. So if I'm trying to solve sales problems, then I could turn this one on. Um, and it has a lot of this type of stuff in it that I teach for how to make it sort of a chain of thought prompt. See, because it talks about iterative drafting here. So yeah, we had people who had the free version and who turn that off because I don't like to use that voice for most of my chats. This is also how you can have your chat, if you have that on all the time, be like a personality. Like some people, are increasingly using the voice function with ChatGPT with a headset and they like talking to it. It could be your therapist, it could be, your personal assistant. So There's ways to get creative with that, but yes, you could use that in the free version and take the class and have a good experience. But I would recommend getting the $20 a month plus subscription. Good question, Vikram. Thank you. I hope to see you in the class. Um, Anything else before we wrap up? Thank you. Is there hardware to run local models? I believe with Prem, you can use almost any device. Like part of the way their setup works is you tell it what kind of GPUs you have available, and then it helps you select models that will work within your capacity. I believe that's part of how it works. How do you manage website updates if going the AI route? Um, yeah, I mean, you could using WordPress or using your different CMSs, you could, you know, get some type of batch automation to generate dynamic content that updates on different cycles. Um, but really you could just have automated blog post creation where it's just going out. Once you trust it enough, ideally you want to evaluate enough of the post that creates and feel like, before you can just have it put that on autopilot. Um, and I feed two similar books about, say, UML, and can ChatGPT spit out novel information in the second book? That's a really good question. Um, Yeah, I mean, I think that it's more likely if you can do that all within the same chat session, then you'll have a better result on that. If you break that into two different sessions, then it might not work as well. What else? Stopping share. Um, Albert, do we want to put the link to again? Oh yeah, you've got it there. It's not too far up. Just to remind everyone, there it is. Put it in fresh.
Is there a limit how much you can ask it to
You
review?
didn't get, yeah, if you didn't get the discount code,
Yep.
there it is. Um, oh, I can share this screen with my personal information if you'd want to get a hold of me. Let me share again. Um, Here's a QR code if anyone wants to scan it to connect with me on LinkedIn or email or learn about my startups. You can do that. Um, and we're going to do another one of these free ones next week, same time, same place, right, Albert? Different Eventbrite
Yep.
link.
Next week at 5 o'clock Pacific. So if anybody wants to join next week for
Next,
the
oh, next week's at 5. Okay.
yep.
Okay. Yep. Perfect. Yes, if you have, yes, it is at 5 next week. So yeah, anyone who has friends who missed this week, send them next week. And then the 17th from 2 to 5 Pacific is the 3 hour.
We have some more questions coming in to
Oh, okay.
check the chat.
Get back in there. Where'd it go? Chat, where are you? There you are. Okay. Um, if you were to list out 3 custom GPT for general productivity improvement, what would they be? Well, if you take the class, you will learn some really good ones in there.
Yep. And then there's another one in there. Can any book chat GPT versions help me write a book, or can I look in the store?
Yeah, look in the store for book helpers. Really, the key to writing a book is breaking it down into chapters and subchapters. If you try to write too much at once, that's where it starts to fall apart.
One thing I've also noticed that works really well is when you tell it to interview you and then convert those
Yeah,
thoughts in the interview into book chapters too.
that's a great idea.
And that can be anything from you can ask ChatGPT to interview you, and it comes to like writing a will. And last night I was doing one where I was asking it to interview me so I can figure out what my number to retire would be based on current assets today. So that was really cool too.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Yeah, almost anything you can think of, it can just. Oh yeah, I didn't need to use a lawyer for that. Didn't need to use a, um,
yeah,
so many things. It just saves you time and money. Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah. Do my taxes. I wish, Spencer. I still use TurboTax. But maybe I'll run it through and see if it catches any errors that TurboTax didn't. If it could do that,
Yeah.
as long as Elon
Is it
Musk
best
can't
to
get.
know the custom GPT you want to create before attending the class on the 17th?
What's that?
Is it best to know what custom GPT you want to create before?
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely. Think about, have an idea in mind for sure. That will definitely give you a better experience out of the gate because then when we're getting, in the last hour when we're workshopping, you might already have something drafted out based on some of the prompting techniques you learned today. But you'll probably also learn some stuff in the first hour or two of the workshop that you might want to apply that you hadn't thought of. So yeah, it'll definitely, I think, give you a leg up if you have at least one or two ideas going into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good, good.
Trust the answer for given hallucination. Possibly. Which answer, Albert? What are you talking about?
Which question am I? Which question? Oh, the retirement. Um,
Oh, on retirement. Yeah.
yeah, I mean well, I mean, I guess I could run all the numbers manually and see what happens, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Welcome, Monica. Glad you liked it, Irene. Okay, well, we're getting close to the top of the hour. Well, should we wrap it up, Albert?
Yeah.
Okay. Hope to see you all in the class, um, or next week. And we're going to be doing these every month, right, for the foreseeable future. And we'll be rolling out more stuff on building agents, this year. And yeah, we've got all kinds of stuff coming, don't we?
Yep. So this video will be available on YouTube. If you're interested in looking over there, let us know. We'll also be following up with a link to the workshop in a couple of weeks as well, and we look forward to having you there too, so that you can get the most out of AI. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you soon. Bye.